and we are live. Just stream only for now, and then we'll in a couple minutes we'll switch over to we'll hit our intro video, and then we'll go over to the audio portion.
Just waiting for people to settle down, get into the live stream, realize Facebook comments are not working. Honestly, I hope a Facebook comment pops up and we just go like, hooray, it's working. But we'll see what's going on. We got some viewers popping in.
Yeah, I'm not hopeful for the whole Facebook thing, because our streaming service, we use StreamYard, and they put out this, there's a big warning banner when we log in. It's like, Facebook comments aren't working. We're working with Facebook now.
Zuckerberg has attacked us.
Yeah.
It's not the first time Zuckerberg has gone after the podcast.
It's a personal attack.
It's a personal vendetta against us. We told him he likes smoothie sours, and now he's hurt and doesn't want us to be live on Facebook anymore.
Yeah, I think we verbally attacked him enough that it makes sense. It makes sense at this point.
You make one joke about Zuckerberg liking lactose, and all of a sudden it's a blackout on Facebook.
All right, so we are, I think we're all pre-gaming at this point. What are you guys drinking over on the
We got Common Swift, our Czech Pilsner, or Czech light lager, whatever you call it.
Awesome.
A Czech light beer.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm going on the other end of the spectrum, and I'm drinking the Attic's strong lager, barrel fermented strong lager.
Yeah.
Tom came here ready to party.
I mean, when you're in Delaware, you got to party.
Nothing says a good old fashioned party like Delaware. Yeah. We're in Delaware.
I hope people get the reference.
No, nobody's gonna get the reference. I think we talked about this at the end of the last stream about just having a Delaware backdrop, and like people will get it. People aren't gonna get it.
Hopefully they are. It's very obscure. I think it's Wayne's World 2.
It's Wayne's World 2. Yeah, when they get the green screen. We're in Hawaii. Look at us, and now we're going to the scenic Delaware. Yeah.
Hey,
we're in Delaware.
I'm going to do some tax-free shopping.
Delaware. See, Tom, this is what happens when we pregame the stream and we just take jokes from other movies and we're not making our own.
Yeah. We're at our best when we're plagiarizing.
We're going to have a copyright claim on this stream when we get done.
I really wanted to pregame with that Sage Sour, but like, man, this is a beer we need to like do like a reel on Instagram about or something. It needs to be featured, because it's not something that you see often.
No,
never seen it at all.
No.
And the name was great, Sage Against the Machine, and the whole logo and everything. I told Tom, I pointed it out right away. I was like, oh, look at that, Sage Against the Machine, awesome.
Yeah, and then we like read the label. We're like, Sage Sour Ale. Oh man.
Yeah, I was like, what kind of beer is that? I looked down and went, whoa.
I'm gonna burn some sage, get rid of some evil spirits, and
listen to some Fleetwood Mac, have some fun. Tom's gonna be the one-winged dove.
Yeah, I will certainly be on the edge of 17 while drinking that.
That's funny. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we were saying earlier, we do have somebody watching on Facebook. Facebook comments are not working with our streaming service right now. Switch over to Twitch or YouTube, and whoever it was just left. So okay,
It's probably my mom.
Just looking at it like this. I don't know. I don't think they can see it.
She's probably on her phone.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Like this?
Yes.
Like every parents. How do I get that?
I got on it and then he told me to get off.
All right. So, Dan, what do you think? Should we just hop into the audio?
Yeah, let's hop in the audio and get the
Yeah.
show. Let's get the show started. I'm ready to crack another beer, so anxiously awaiting
Yes,
I'm anxiously awaiting these attic beers. So let's do it.
There we go. We got Dylan on. Dylan, I'm assuming that Dylan was on Facebook and hopped over to YouTube because
He is actually one of our Facebook users, so he's hopping over to YouTube. He's got your profile picture on YouTube is way radder than your Facebook one. So,
all right, so we're gonna send you guys back to the green room, to the upside down, and we will bring you back on in just a moment. So we will talk to you in about 5 minutes or so.
Great.
All right, we'll see you then.
bye guys.
All right, it's too much, Tom. Sometimes it's too much, Tom.
Too much Delaware.
Too much Delaware. There's never too much of the first state, bud. Oof. All
right, Tom.
You want to do this? Let's do it.
I'm ready.
Do it.
The air saxophone looks better with Delaware as the backdrop. It just works with it. Yeah.
It something about Delaware just screams air sax.
I think it's the font.
Yeah, you know what, Dylan? Sure. Yes. Beat Pittsburgh. Fuck the Penguins. All right. We are going to go live with the recording now. Yo. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, fam. I'm gonna
stop moving your mic during the intro, Tom.
What's up,
Rusty Cod over there?
It's just I'm in a rusty state. You know,
it's the saltwater.
Yeah, Delaware is the state of rust and wood paneling. The whole state is a bingo hall.
The whole state is a Vista Cruiser.
Yes, the whole state is a bingo hall mixed with a VFW. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the greatest podcast to exist in the history of podcasts. It's internationally acclaimed, Cindy Crawford approved podcast of hops, virtual high fives, and friendship. I am your host, the crispiest of boys, the king of the crunk.
Did you get it set up? Oh, it's not set up.
I played it, and I forgot that I had the volume all the way down while I was picking the intro song. There it is. There it is.
There it is.
There it is. It's Tom.
And I'm your other host, the Hop Master General, the Royers Ford Rattlesnake. Dan. It's Dan. Do you like that one? Yeah. I saved a little bit of beer at the bottom.
I'm so happy when Dan throws a little bit of theatrics into this.
I know. I had to. I had a little bit left in the can. I was like, I'm going to save this for the intro.
You had a little bit left in the tank?
A little bit left in the tank.
All right, everybody.
My cat's wondering, what the fuck did you just do?
Just ruined your cat's whole night.
Yeah. He looks pissed.
All right, everybody. You know what it is. It's the year of the late 90s, early 2000s hip hop. We are winding down. I think I forget how much
we're in the last 2 months of the late 90s, early 2000s hip hop.
Yeah, something like that. I forget. I don't know. My wife will.
We're in the twilight of the year of the late 90s.
I base it off of my wife's like, oh, we got 8 Fridays left until Christmas. Like, all right, cool.
She
I
like
go-
she's just trying to let you know how many pay periods we have till Christmas.
Mhm. Yeah, she's like, keep saving. I'm gonna ask for something expensive.
BTW,
BTW.
BMW. We're a
Yeah.
podcast. We're not getting BMWs.
No. I would make if I stole all of the money that we made on this podcast, I would make 1/5 of one monthly payment on a BMW.
It's true.
3 years, folks. 3 years of work. All right, everybody. It's the best friends podcast in the world, and we are starting right now.
Y'all get ready to put y'all up on something.
Oh,
man.
okay.
Yo, when you see something ill, you know what I mean? That shit is woke. Anything ill you see is woke. Nigga have a big 6 at the club, that's woke. Especially if he got the fully equipped kid on it, it's woke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I had this bad bitch in town. She
All right, there it is.
having fun. And I mean, whoa. Bought the bitch diamonds and pearls, I mean, whoa. Should have seen them shit shining on the wrist. Now money ain't
All
a
right.
problem. See, my dough is like.
Now, we definitely lost one of our guest moms. She had to turn off Facebook with that one.
Oh dear.
And we forgot to mention that we are explicit. We have the parental guidance. We need to start putting that parental guidance sticker at the.
It
in
is
our-
on. I mean, it does come up on YouTube, but Facebook, we're
Yeah.
sorry if you expected something different.
Yeah, those people that were on logging on Facebook expecting something different, they were like, "Whoa,
Yeah, they were like, "Whoa, Tom,
whoa."
you are correct."
All right, let's get this done, Dan.
You can do it without having to be too quick. You got this, Tom.
All right, everybody, subscribe, rate, review, or follow, rate, review all major podcast platforms. Mostly Apple. Apple Podcasts is the main one. Subscribe.
That's where
rate,
we're seeing a
review.
lot of the listeners.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, that's the one where all the algorithm counts. Spotify isn't giving us any kind of contract anytime soon. Yeah, so hit us with a follow, hit us with a rating, hit us with a review. Dan, what's that rating we want?
5-star party, baby.
5-star, buddy. Hit us with a review. We don't care what it is. Just hit us with a review. Mess with the algorithm. And then guys, support the podcast.
Reviews.
Yeah, a couple of reviews. Leave us a bunch of reviews if you can. I don't know. Delete it. Do a new review.
Tom, have we gotten any more reviews?
Haven't checked, Dan.
All right. While you do this, I'll check.
Sure. All right, everybody. And support the podcast. The best way to support the podcast is through Anchor. We do this mostly for free. I mean, we don't really require a payment. You just get to listen and watch for free. If you want to support the podcast, you can go to anchor.fm/bestbestfriendspod. Wait, no. /support, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Links in our bio. Just follow us on social media.
Yeah.
At Best Best Friends Pod. That's Best Best Friends POD.
And all right, I wasn't ready for that, Dan. Oh, it was so loud. See, you got me. You got my rods and cones all screwed up.
I got you all flustered over there.
Yeah, you just threw in a random POD drop. I'm getting ready to hit.
Dude, you know what? I'm just ready to make sure that we get all of our bases covered. We don't know the URL because Anchor makes the URL very confusing. So we screw it up every time. I'm just saying, hit the link in our social media. We make it real easy for you. We put all of our links available to you on all of our social media outlets. So
we have this
go ahead and
Linktree. Ever heard of it? It's all the links in one spot.
There you go, Tom.
Yeah, there you go. Link.
They're not a sponsor of ours. So
Linktree.ee, I think is the
is Linktree.e. There's only one E after the dot. It's fine.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird.
It doesn't make any sense. What's the .e for?
I don't know. It's so bad. Anyway, that's where you can find all of our links for support. We're trying to get merch to you guys. So supporting the podcast helps us get some glassware, some t-shirts made, some fun merch.
Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Yeah.
And that is a soundbite of Tom during every pre-production meeting before we go on the podcast of Tom just explaining what we need.
Dan, we need money. Me need money. Me need money now. Money now, please. And as always, we
Tom
are
moved to Delaware and thought he didn't have to pay taxes anymore, but when he heard tax-free, so he needs money a lot.
Turns out that it's only when you spend money is when you don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
So
we all knew that, Tom.
Yeah, I'm still in the red, way deep in the red. Deep in the red, trying to dig myself out.
IRS is knocking on our door right now, or Tom's door, not mine.
As always, we are part of the Hopped Up Network. Hopped Up Network is an ever-growing group of independent craft beer podcasts. That always trips me up. Check out all the other podcasts on the network at www.hoppedupnetwork.com. Check them out on social media at Hopped Up Network. All right. Whew.
That was a mouthful, Tom.
Yeah.
You ready? You thirsty?
Really? We got it done quickly because we're desperate to get some of this beer in our mouth holes. So let's bring our guests on.
Way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, your mouth is.
And this is a throwback guest. I mean, this is an OG guest of the podcast from the early aughts, back in the day when we had a pixelated stream where the sound would just cut out of nowhere. People would just drop out of it. It was terrible. You know, we were a growing podcast. Now we have a somewhat functional stream going on here.
Well, let's
knock on wood.
Yeah, let's be easy on that. The Burger King will take its revenge when you sully its name like that, Dan.
Tom's Burger King Wi-Fi. Tom lives conveniently next to Burger King in Delaware that he basically steals the Wi-Fi from. So if it does cut out, that's why.
We said we're gonna get that all low. They don't need to know about that.
Okay, sorry, man.
I have my own Wi-Fi that I pay for, not Burger King.
Oh man, your job's gonna fire you.
All right, yeah. So the guests that we're bringing on, they were back from episode 51.
51. What episode are we on right now? 138?
138, I believe.
I believe we are.
Yeah, so almost 100 episodes ago. They're deep in the archives.
Deep in the archives.
Yeah, they're in the Indiana Jones depths of the archives. All right, so let's bring them on. They're the Gem of Germantown, PA. Germantown, like Philadelphia. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Germantown. They're the Gem of Germantown. Let's call them that. The Gem of Germantown. It is Laura and Todd from Attic Brewing.
Hello. Woo!
I like Tom's little golf clap.
Gotta get Germantown is in Philadelphia too.
Yeah, Germantown, Philadelphia. It's like one of those the Canadian addresses. Germantown, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Sounds great. Gem of Germantown might be our new slogan on the t-shirt.
I was gonna say the Gem of Germantown. That was pretty good, Tom.
Right?
You've been coming up with some good intros, and I gotta tip my hat to you.
I think that would be the third one that I got. Yeah, we got the Crown Jewel of Croydon.
Yeah.
I feel like I had another one. The Gem of Germantown.
Now, Gem of Germantown. We're I think we have a podcast name right there.
There you go.
Coming for your jobs.
Yeah. Let's write it down here. All right. So of course we're going to be enjoying some.
We've got a lot to catch up on, guys.
Yeah. So let's kick this thing off as I write this down so I don't forget it, because I will.
Don't worry, Tom. Got it right up here in the old brain bank. We're good.
Yeah, the old lockbox, as it were.
It's a lockbox. 2 beers later. What was the name of the podcast again?
Yeah, I'll be texting Dan at 11:30 while I'm putting the episode out. He's like, I'm not recalling. Did we say that we had an episode name?
I'm not going to even. I'll be sleeping. You'll see 3 dots in your text message, and then the 3 dots just go away. Nothing after that.
So, all right. So we're going to be drinking some Attic beer, and Dan and I went Friday afternoon. We went over to the brewery. We certainly had a plethora to choose from. what was it, 17 beers
17 beers in
on the
cans
floor?
right now.
17 beers in cans, which
Yeah.
is impressive. I would say, I mean, compared to, I guess, when we first had you on, I guess it was the 2 beers that we had were the 2 beers you guys had in cans at that time.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of the I feel like we had the Bloodhound Brown, which had its own label, and then we had the Session IPA, and I think those were all in the like the Attic label with like the handwritten names on it. And now like your whole fridge is like labels, and then you have a couple of like the handwritten ones.
Yeah. So grown up now.
All right, so we're gonna start off with Unresolved, your Maibock. So the Maibock is coming in at 7.6% ABV. And that's all we know about it. So we'll be asking you about it for sure.
I do see a nice little I see a nice little medal on the side of this that we can talk about too. So
Yes, for sure. So all right, so let's get a crack here, Daniel. 3, 2, 1. All over the chin there.
I gotta say, this is the happiest Maibock can color I've ever seen. I think every Maibock I've ever seen has been like,
dreary and dystopian,
like dreary dystopian goat on it or something.
Yeah.
This is the happiest Maibock I think I'm ever gonna drink right here.
Talk with the label for this one. I think he was. We have an artist friend, Emily White, who did the Tiger Smile can, and I think he might have been subtly inspired by her. If you follow her on Instagram, everything she's painting these days has these same curved lines. So
it was a little darker though in the colors, but Laura's like, don't look spring enough. So
it's very like 70s, like that 70s style of like t-shirt design, like everything had like that swirl, and very
definitely where the inspiration came from.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's a very, like Dan said, it's a very happy can.
It's like the intro to a 70s cartoon right there.
And traditionally Maibocks would have been served in the springtime, so inspired by the pastel colors of the florals of the season, I guess.
I feel like every Maibock I've ever had has been some kind of like earth tone or grayscale. It's just like that, like
we got a great comment.
Maibock cans for something. That is perfect. This is
like a German funeral.
Yeah. This is it's a happy affair. Enjoy it. It's super clear. Wow.
Yeah, this is a beautiful looking beer. I'm ready to dive into it.
All right. Todd, Laura, Slancha.
Cheers. Welcome back, guys.
Go ahead.
Oh, yes.
So, I'll say right off the bat, very refreshing. We've had some Maibocks recently on the podcast that lean towards the, I would say, overly sweet side. Yeah. Very caramely. And then I feel like that's not what I really look for in a Maibock. I don't want my Maibock to be sweet. Maybe like a subtle caramel note to it, but I still want it to be a lager.
Yeah, it's definitely dry, crisp finish.
It's great having revisiting this beer at the onset of like Oktoberfest season, because it's like it's a nice throwback of, having this in the spring was always like the end of winter. This was like, it was like the last strong beer to have in the spring. Like it just meant this, summer was on its way. Let's have one strong lager before like the warm weather. And now it's like coming back to it. I'm like, now I just want Maibock for the fall. So.
No, same. We had our Funktoberfest back in September, which is a big funk music and beer festival that we host. And I think we had 9 or 10 different lagers on for that event. So we brewed this to have it as one of the 9 beers. So
Bring it back.
Definitely glad that we brought it back.
Yeah, this is I will say this is a very well crafted Maibock. It's, I mean, when I think when I think of a Maibock, this is kind of what I think of. It's a nice malt character. It's super crispy. It's not heavy at all. There is a very subtle sweetness to it. It's definitely there, but it's not overpowering the flavor. This is like insanely clear. This
I
might
think
be
we
the
talked
clearest
about it too.
Maibock I've ever seen.
I think we talked about it too with Maibock being like it's like the Hell's Extra. Like if you've had a Hell's Lager, it's like a Hell's Extra. It just like knocks that style up just a notch ever so slightly, but like still retains a lot of that straw color and, you know, malt backbone of like that style.
That's what our brewer is just really good at. Like he'll do these like stronger styles that, you know, a lot of, as we all know, are too sweet or really cloying, but he somehow manages to get them to be dry and clean and crisp. It's really nice.
Yeah, it does have like a nice subtle dryness to it.
Yeah.
So as we were saying, you know, we had Attic on back in January of 2020. I think that was it. 2020.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was 2020.
So a lot has changed since then, obviously. I think when we talked to you, you guys were 8 months old as a brewery. Now you're a couple years in. The brewery is much different. Tell us about the transition from opening in during the pandemic to where you're at now.
Yeah, so we opened in January 2020, had a great 8 weeks of being like, our dream has come true. And then then the world said no. And so we, you know, had to make a decision whether we were going to close and just, you know, preserve our resources, or we were going to dig deep and push it. And we were like, we just opened. There's no way in hell we're going to close. So yeah, we did a lot of pivoting the past few years. This beautiful business plan that we had created kind of went out the window, and we of course started canning beer. It was the only way to sell beer. We ordered a canning machine that took about a year to get here. So we did 75,000 cans through the draft, filling them one at a time and canning them with a hand seamer. The first ones came off the line with paper labels from Staples. And then we learned that the condensation on cans doesn't work well with paper labels, and had to make adjustments. So to even see our beer in like real labels is so wild and crazy. But I think one of the highlights of 2020, we won our first GABF medal for the brown ale, which we tasted last time. Which was just a huge boost to our morale, and, you know, just kind of stamped us as like, we are producing some of the best beer in Philadelphia and the country. And then we had a beer garden out in our parking lot. And in 2021, we were able to open this 8,000 square foot beer garden in an adjacent empty lot, which for anybody, and not many people have seen how it actually looked with like collapsed buildings and huge trees. But our landlord owned the lot. He cleared it for us. And then we invested a bunch of money into building this really cool beer garden. So there's about
it is a sight to behold, coming out that back door and like seeing it. It's very welcoming. Like you guys have made it like, I didn't want to leave. I was hoping I was like, I wish they were open right now. I'd just hang out here when we stopped in. Like it was really hard for me to be like pulled back into the door after seeing it.
Yeah, it's a big space and it's a lot for us to maintain, but such a great, like you said, like welcoming space. We wanted it to feel very comfortable, the same way our tap room feels. So it was also lots of like brick and brown and gray. So we added a lot of color. so that it felt very, you know,
Yeah. It
and like
seems
the
super
energy.
vibrant back there. So you guys
Yeah.
did a great job of like kind of making that whole area pop. Like you took a vacant lot and turned it into this beautiful space. And I think when we last had you on, you were in the early stages of getting that ready. I think we talked on the episode about the plans for a beer garden in that space.
Yeah, here I'll
Definitely could have
actually
been.
pop it up while we're talking about it here. So boom, we've got that right there. So everyone could I took a quick picture of it, but just like the seats, the games, the lights, like it's just a beautiful spot.
Yeah, it's hard to photograph the whole space because it's so large.
Yeah, it's so much more. This is
the
just
middle.
yeah,
you
this
can't
is
let
like the
it
middle.
go.
There's so much more, like the bars to the left right there and stuff.
The outdoor bar is beautiful. It's such a cool area. And I mean, this goes to the Gem of Germantown. I mean, it's like an oasis in the middle of Germantown. Like it's just not like you're walking out into like a whole different area. Like it's not like anything else that's around there.
Yeah, the door that you guys walked through, the connecting piece between the tap room and the beer garden, just happened in September.
Okay.
So before, people would have to walk around, and it was a little bit of logistics. And we understand that Germantown is still a neighborhood that people are getting used to, and like isn't, has had its blight and whatever in the past. And so we're really proud that we were able to take this empty lot and turn it into this neighborhood spot. And like the outpouring of support and people showing up is insane, and we're so grateful for it. But we had live music going 2 days a week all summer long, lots of cool events and outdoor markets, and definitely had it going. I mean, the weather is changing now, so we're slowly going to close it up. We'll put heaters out there, so if people still want to go out there, they can. But every year we do improvements to it to make it bigger and better. So next spring it'll be rocking and rolling again.
And so the one thing, like, I will stand by forever. Like, whenever anyone asks, like, where should I go? I'm in Philly. Where should I go for beer? I had 3 spots. It's Victory, Human Robot, and Attic. And I know I was, when I was there, you guys weren't open for, tap room, but I could see like the potential in it. Like you guys had one of the coolest spots in the city. And you have now with the beer garden, and then you have Deke's next door, which Deke's barbecue, some of the best barbecue in the city. You guys, like, right where you're at it's perfect. You guys have an awesome, really cool looking, like you have a cool vibe to your tap room. Customers get to see like Bogdan working in the, on the brews there. Your bar is so cool. Like it's so retro, and like you have like a very like funky bar set up, and then
They get
with
to
your
watch Bogdan avoid eye contact with them as he walks by.
He avoids
Like,
everybody. He'll probably listen to this podcast and count how many times his name is dropped, but that's how he is. But he's amazing. He tries to get wrapped up pretty quickly so that he doesn't have to get caught up in the entertainment part of owning a business or being a head brewer. But yeah,
that's awesome.
He brews some kick-ass beer, so
yeah, for sure.
whatever makes him happy.
And I mean, like, I was talking to a brewer friend of ours earlier tonight, and I was telling him that we were going to have you guys on. He was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of them, but I haven't really been out to their spot." I was like, "Yeah, you gotta go out there, check them out." I was like, they, in their infancy, they won a GABF bronze for
Silver medal.
Silver.
I thought it was bronze for the brown ale. It was silver. Okay,
Silver, Tom.
Even silver. He was like, "That's insane." Like in that infancy to win in the brown ale category, of everything. Like it's so impressive. And the beer we're drinking now, the Maibock, you won another silver in 2021 for the Maibock, which is again insane in that category.
Yeah, we were never at the GABF. We didn't go out when the two beers won awards, but Todd and I were able to go this past year. We entered beers, we didn't medal, but we are definitely hungry to win another medal and to be there to win it, because there is such a warm and exciting reception in the city of Denver when you win a medal. And we would have loved to have been there when we won medals. So
Did you guys walk around with your prior medals? Like,
We should have.
that I think might be frowned. I'm gonna guess that's frowned upon.
no big deal.
Thought
2020 right
about
here.
it, but I think that might be frowned upon, and we're gonna let the current winners celebrate. But we got to see Ghost Town Brewing out of Oakland, California, win 2 gold medals and then win Brewery of the Year in their size category. And what an inspiration! Like, these are not the last medals we will win at the GABF.
Yeah, it
No,
just makes you more excited to just come back and be like, all right, we're hungry. Let's do it.
I mean, winning silver in back-to-back years and being such a young brewery, like, I don't think those will be your last 2.
No, and it's such an inspiration. Like, it's for us, it's about putting out the best beer that we can. And we have brewed probably 60 different beers, even in the short, almost 3 years that we've been open. And we really believe that all of them are like top-notch beers. It's really hard when you're in a competition with different breweries, and some of the categories are really competitive to win medals. So there is a little bit of strategy to win medals, but we're proud of all of our beers, but just inspired by the great breweries that were there. And Todd and I used to go, we were craft beer customers before we owned a brewery, and we've been to over 400 breweries, just traveling around and, on our time off. And it's just, the craft beer industry is amazing, and we're so inspired by it, and grateful for the path that they paved. And so
that's awesome. And since 2020, when we last talked to you, have you guys done any I guess increasing production? Have you guys made any I don't know, improvements on the brewing system? Have you increased it or done anything? Because I feel like since we last talked to you, you guys have, you're talking about a Czech lager that you guys were drinking before the podcast. We had a Maibock here from 2021. Lagers, they take up a lot of time, take up a lot of tank space and stuff like that. Have you guys made improvements to increase your production since we last talked to you?
Yeah, we brought in an extra fermenter and a bright tank so that we can try to keep lagers on regularly.
Which is awesome. Yeah. I mean, it seems like the trend that everybody's going to is going with the crisp, which is great. Coming out of the pandemic, people are getting burned out on, the hype beers and stuff like that. Yeah. And seeing beers you guys won for a brown ale, during the pandemic, which is, awesome to see. And just seeing all these other traditional styles, we're sipping on a Maibock right now. It just got silver at the GABF. And, you guys were talking about a Czech lager before that. These crispy beers are coming back. Awesome to see. But yeah, they do take up a lot of real estate in the brewing system. And, to try and get the other beers out while you're working on lagers, difficult.
Definitely trying, but it's kind of cool. If you look at our tap list right now, I think we have 3 IPAs out of the 14 on tap. So
and that's awesome to see that the scale has kind of turned where people are wanting these better, more traditional styles. And seeing that you guys have added things to make it easier to get that out into production and get that out on the taps.
That's it's definitely something that I touched on. Like I said, when I was having a conversation with our brewer friend, I was like, they have 17 cans in their 17 different beers in their cooler. I was like, I think 3 of them were IPAs, which is insane, because that was it was the other way around during 2020 into early 2021, where it was everybody had 75% IPAs, and they would throw in a lager or a stout or something in there.
Yeah, and it was just because of that's what kept the lights on, really. It's people had that haze craze going. It's hey, let's just get them out there. People will buy it. and that'll just like fund improvements, fund expansion, stuff like that.
And man,
I will-
drinking was cool during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was.
I will say that our most popular beer week to week is usually still a hazy IPA. It is the beer that we're still selling the most of, even though we have all these other beer varieties. So,
But we do
Which is
get
great
really
because you could just
excited.
kick it out real quick too.
yeah, I mean, we're gonna taste the hazy IPA as the second beer, but like we definitely, we try to keep a variety. That's really what we try to do, so that anybody can come in and you can find something you like. And if we have 14 beers on tap and you have a complaint about what's on there, like there's not much more we can do after that.
Yeah, I will emphasize it is one of the more impressive like beer varieties that I've seen in the area. Like
Agreed.
you guys have a little bit of everything for everybody. It's if you go in the Attic and you can't pick out a beer, there's I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and that was my big thing, was like looking at the variety, being like, they have extensive lagering game right now.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to talk about production and everything, because that's not easy for smaller breweries to do.
Yeah, and I think when I was there last time, you had just set up the system in the quote unquote basement area or whatever the
Down the ramp.
consider. Yeah, down the ramp.
We call it the cellaring area. So when we opened the brew house is on the main level in the tap room, and we had some fermenters down in that cellaring area. We might have just, that seems like around the time that we probably got the new tanks in. We probably got the tabletop canner in. We got that at the end of 2021. We also started fermenting in the puncheons, which are the two. We do some barrel fermented beers, not barrel aged, but in the big puncheons. So that helped us expand the brewing capacity without costing $15,000 to buy another tank. And those barrel you were drinking, that one was fermented in the barrel, so that helped add some space too.
Oh, cool. That I've never. That's interesting. Yeah, from all the brewers and stuff we've had on, I don't think we've talked to anybody about that process before. So
Punching.
Yeah, it's much more complicated in terms of fermenting because you can't temperature control it, and then there is some natural fermentation that's happening because it's just in the wood, the oak the big barrels. But we've been probably for at least the last year consistently brewing beers. So we have
is that like similar to like a foeder or style, I guess?
It's basically like a big wine barrel is basically what it is.
Okay.
That it's about maybe 4 or 5 barrels worth of beer. So
okay.
Yeah.
And, all right. Do you want to, Dan? How much of that Maibock do you have to crush here?
I've been saving a few sips for the final thoughts here. So,
all right. I mean, I ran through this thing. One of the best Maibocks I've had this year. I will
agree.
Definitely the best Maibock we've had on the podcast. I don't know if that's egregious to say, Dan, but
I would say on the podcast, I would agree that this is one of the better ones that we've had, one of the best ones we've had. I mean, Tom, we've talked about it before, being from the area that we're from here, just outside of Phoenixville, where Sly Fox originated. We've been privy to probably some of the best iterations of Maibock.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, in my opinion, coming from Sly Fox, this is right up there. This is just
I would say
high competition for our hometown heroes.
Sweet.
I would say this is I mean, this is what I look for in a Maibock. It was crispy. It still resembled a lager. It wasn't. I mean, it had the sweet notes, but it was the sweet notes in the right way. The malt profile was really nice. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for from a Maibock. It was, spot on, I would say.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And that's why it's silvered at GABF.
I know. Well, yeah, we're proud of it. It's a great beer.
I love the cat stretching out on the metal that you guys put on there too.
Yeah. Did you know that we have a subtle cat theme on our beers?
I did see that. Yeah. I was gonna say the one I did see, because that one wasn't out yet, was Choking Hazard, and I couldn't laugh harder at that can label because I was gonna say
is that cat throwing up?
Yeah.
what's funny is yesterday I had a meeting with my boss at my full-time job, and my cat was literally right back there just yakking while I was talking to him. And I'm like, is he gonna bring it up? Is it gonna just back there just like yeah. You can hear it through my headset because I know he can hear it. But yeah,
All right, so let's get
Silver
into
Metal GABF. This is awesome. Let's get into my my neck of the woods here.
Strata Cat. So not the first cat themed beer on the podcast. Certainly won't be the last. I mean, hell, we brewed a cat themed IPA.
We did brew a cat themed IPA with Naked, so
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah, so yes, we definitely did the old Hannah cat theme.
I will say, I guess I'm just gonna throw this out there. Strata is the hop of choice is the main one here.
Ding, 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 ding.
So this is
just real low hanging fruit right there.
You know, picking beer names is not easy these days.
It's a hazy IPA coming in at 6.7% ABV. All right, Daniel, you ready?
I'm ready.
Locked and loaded. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I did a Tom. Got me right in the face there.
Yeah, it'll happen every once in a while. It's got a great nose. I don't know if I've ever had a
not now. Is this single hopped with Strata, or is there other?
Mostly Strata. There is a little bit of Citra in it that was put in kind of early on, but for like the Whirlpool edition, it's all Strata. It's dry hop to Strata.
It is.
So, yeah.
Definitely like the earthy notes of Strata that comes out with this. Like Strata has a nice smell to it. You could definitely tell a little bit of Citra in it, but
yeah.
let's
certainly hazy.
Cheers. I keep forgetting.
All right, Slancha.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
So this is very it's very citrusy. It in a good way. This is like I just took a big spoonful of grapefruit.
Yeah, I love grapefruit as like a great determination for hazy IPAs because it does retain the subtle bitterness of, hey, we want to remind people that hazy IPAs are still an IPA. Like there's going to be bitterness in there. And that's why I love grapefruit as like a tasting note, because it does retain like the OG like IPA kind of profile to it.
Yeah, it's a very definitely like a very New England-esque style IPA. Like Dan said, that's like a callback to the OG hazy IPAs, which were originally called New England IPAs.
2021 GAB, the BJCP has now distinguished the hazy IPA as its own category.
But the OG New England IPAs were very grapefruity. Is that bitter citrus, a lot of like kind of like that citrus rind kind of flavor to it, juicy, without being overly filling. It didn't need that lactose or any kind of adjunct to it to haze it up, or this is very refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, lactose just adds sweetness. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
with that, like the haze and everything like that, it's just really during the filtering and stuff like that. Like, what kind of malt profile did you guys use for this?
It's mostly just 2-row with some oats, of course.
Yeah, for the
A little bit of
mouthfeel.
wheat. Yeah, and that's
Oats and wheat for that nice mouthfeel.
Yep.
yeah.
2-row to kind of give it that little zip there.
Yeah. And pretty much all the hops are after boil, so it's all whirlpool and dry hop. And, yeah,
I mean, this is it's very refreshing. I mean, it's definitely a nice sipper.
That seems to be like our problem when we brew the hazy IPAs, that they're like easy drinking. Even we've done a triple hazy IPA 2 times, and like they're just as easy drinking.
I feel like that's kind of like that high ABV though was like your wheelhouse when we first talked to you guys. You guys had like the Belgian triple and like the quad were like your highest selling beers, and we were just like taken aback by like, man, Germantown really knows how to party.
We didn't even mention that we did a collaboration beer with NBA star Rasheed Wallace. We did a triple hazy IPA with him, and we just did another one with 2 locals for the Barrel and Boil Festival called Hustle and Bustle. That one too. It's, you know, we pour the beer at the festival and people are like, "Oh, it's my favorite," and then they're like drunk at the end of the festival.
OG friends of the podcast, 2 locals. Love those guys.
Yeah, they're great.
Rasheed Wallace is a bit of a sore subject. He didn't respond to any of our messages, so
doesn't surprise me. He's a busy man.
Yeah.
We've been in his DMs more than loving basketball people, so
yeah, we did an episode live on the rooftop of Victory in Center City, and we tried to get Rasheed to come on, and boy did he ignore our messages.
Next time you want him on the show, maybe we can pull some strings on him.
Talk to Todd. He'll get us on. Hey, Sheed, it's me, Todd.
Hey, we have it really is like the day he came to brew the beer with us is like a photo that we need to get printed and framed, because Todd and Bogdan are both like, I'm smaller guys, and next to Rasheed, it is so funny like how small they look next to him. He is
it would have been comically, because I doubt you guys are shorter than I am, because it would have been comically if I was there.
Yeah, it's so fun. And but you know what, really a great guy, and we raised a lot of money for the school and the athletic program, so for his alma mater. So it's really great that we got to work with him.
I mean, he does a ton for the city of Philadelphia. I mean, he has a street named after himself because of
this year just got a street named after him.
Yeah.
So
oh really?
Yeah, the Simon Gratz teachers, they come out though and they support us too, so it definitely feels very mutual. I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
See this, but Bog is taller than me, but
look at your mustache too,
dude. If I was to the right of you, we'd look like a Singular Wireless commercial. It'd just be like more bars, more places.
Todd, are you still doing the Civil War reenactments?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like with everything with COVID. A lot of it got put on hold or pushed back, so it's still happening. I haven't been able to do it since before COVID, but yeah, got an event coming up in November, so I will be there probably doing it.
More importantly, are Metal Mondays still happening?
Always, yes.
Every Monday. I came to the beer pickup hoping one of you guys was going to be there. I wore my Sepultura shirt and everything. I got all guzzied up for you guys. I was like,
but it's not for both of us. It's just for Todd.
I was
He's
like,
Todd
what
still
shirt
works
do I wear for this?
Yeah.
The door is great.
Todd still works a full-time job, so you got to catch him when he's not working his full-time job.
You're still working Parks and Rec?
Yeah. Master Park
awesome.
Service.
Yeah.
Yep. For a couple more years.
Where are you? Are you still located in Valley Forge or?
It's at
Were you-
Independence National Historical
Oh,
Park.
Independence. Okay, yeah, that's. You did do Valley Forge, I guess,
I did for like about 2 or 3 years, and then
for about 2. Yeah, I remember that.
moved to Philly after that. Yeah.
That's
Got to pay the bills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Government jobs come with pensions too, so we're
There
gonna
you
hit
go.
that 20-year mark and make sure he gets that pension.
Years.
Yeah. So how are Germantown? You're in Germantown. Metal Mondays. How's the reception there for Metal Mondays?
I think it depends on the day. Like there's some days where like we might get 1 or 2 metalheads come in, and that's it. But and there's other days where there's 20, 30 metalheads here. It's Monday, so it's hard to like get people to come. But when we do, it's cool. We did have a cool thing planned for Halloween since it falls on Monday. And we're gonna have like a live metal vinyl DJ and all this cool stuff happening. But and of course the Phillies win the World Series, and now we adjust. So there might still be a metal DJ till about 8 o'clock, and then
He's got to play Dancing on My Own on repeat until the game's over.
You need to find a metal band that does Dancing on My Own as a remix.
Oh my god.
There might already be one out there. Who knows?
I know exactly. There has to be one out there, but if not, I'm available as a drummer if anyone wants to record it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are in a great location. It's like really unassuming. Dan and I were kind of like taken aback. We're like, oh, we got to plan this out. And then we put it in like the GPS and it's like 35 minutes. We're like, no way. Germantown from where, I mean,
you were like, it's like over an hour away. I put it like you showed up where we were going to like meet. Cause I'm a little bit closer.
I also put it in at like 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah. I looked at it. I'm like, bro, it's like 40 minutes away. We're good. Like,
yeah.
This is a quick ride. I mean, Metal Monday sounds way more appealing to me now than it did during the pandemic. Now that I know it's only 40 minutes away.
Yeah, super easy drive. You guys are an easy spot off of 76. You go 76 to Route 1, right up to Germantown.
Free off-street parking.
Yeah, you guys have a serious lot right there.
Yeah, the lot is clutch.
Two parking lots. There's actually a second lot too. So,
jeez, I was gonna say the first lot's big enough.
Just so you know, we do have a couple people that come all in from New Jersey for Metal Mondays.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah. Is it Mike? Is it Mike Locke from Broken Goblin?
Nah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But he's great. But no,
he has his own metal band.
I know they got a lot going on at their spot.
Those guys, yeah. I did a beer fest over the weekend, and it's the first beer fest that I heard Lamb of God over the main music for the beer fest. I'm like, oh man, this is great. I was like, oh, Nine Inch Nails was playing when I walked in, and all of a sudden Lamb of God playing. I was like, this is gonna be a fun beer fest right here.
Yeah, we poured next to them at the Decibel Metal and Beer Festival before, and
Decibel Magazine. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's where the Died Choking beer. It's a collaboration with Died Choking for Decibel.
Oh, that's for Decibel?
Mm-hmm.
Or choking or die choking? Oh, that's awesome.
Well, Choking Hazard's the beer. Die Choking is the band.
Okay.
They're like a 3-piece grindcore band here in Philly. Actually, super nice, cool guys.
Great guys, yeah.
Damn, three-piece grindcore.
Yeah,
that's a lot of work.
I feel like that's always the case. It's like the more like hardcore the band is, like the nicer the guys are.
I know. They're like total sweethearts.
Yeah. Like we knew them for like a day after brewing the beer, and they're like hugging us. And like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Paul's a nurse, right? Yeah. It's great.
He's like a neonatal nurse too. He's like, we're just working with babies.
Yeah. Something like that. But Yeah,
It's just like when I hold those little guys in my hands and little heartbeats, I just melt. and then he plays Corpse Grinder the whole time.
Hey, we're the band pillaging villages. All the proceeds go to Red Cross.
Light the fire, tear up the pits, donate to the new NATO Foundation.
That's how it is.
Exactly how those guys are.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean I feel like it's always the same thing with like metal bands. It's like they've all been through that like grind of like trying
Booking
to
their own
make it,
shows,
booking your own
their own
shows.
tours and stuff like that.
It's just all humbling, and everybody works their own jobs, and all
Definitely.
very down to earth people.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. I'm sure
Metal
Cannibal
gets a
Corpse
bad
is like,
rap,
yeah.
but it's actually
Cannibal Corpse is like, oh yeah, we do Make a Wish a lot.
Corpse Grinder buys like stuffed animals and actually gives them.
I was gonna say, yeah, Corpse Grinder is the one I always hear about. It's like donating to like Christmas, like charities and stuff. It's like Corpse Grinder just donated 1,000 teddy bears to the children's hospital.
Yeah, I got a stuffed rabbit, and it says
Next
courtesy
day,
of
it's like-
Corpse Grinder.
Singing Hammer Smash Face.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we are coming up on an hour here, and Dan, we've been doing a pretty good job of trying to keep it to that. We set this goal of
We almost deviated hard in the middle right there, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that you circled us back around there because I was about to be like, yeah, let's talk.
Another hour in metal talk.
you can't hear it, but both Dan's feet are going in rhythmic fashions.
I've just been doing double bass gallops under my desk right now.
Not great.
Dan's just been doing what was it? One.
Classic.
Yeah, the best drummer of all time, in my opinion. Lars.
No, that's only Mike. That's only Mike Locke's opinion. All right.
But he texts me every day and says best drummer.
Yeah, that's all we ever talk about. And me and Mike Locke. I mean, Broken Goblet is a hardcore Metallica fan base right there.
Oh, man. I can see that.
He's got Lars Ulrich's autograph tattooed on his forearm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, Attic Brewing, go out, go to their spot. It truly is the Gem of Germantown.
Get some barbecue, play the Iron Maiden pinball at Deeks, and just walk right on over to Attic and have some beers.
Yeah. Get really embarrassed by the score that you put up, because
I thought we did really good. Yeah, I thought we were killing it.
You're going to feel really good about your score at the end of that pinball game, and then it's going to be like you got 25 million points. You're in 180th place. God damn it.
Drown your sorrows in 14 beers on tap, is it? 14?
Yes.
Yeah. Drown your sorrows of the Iron Maiden pinball with 14 beers on tap over at Attic.
Yeah. Yeah, sit out at the beer garden, enjoy some of the outdoor festivities, check out Metal Monday. I've been spouting it since we had you on the first time. It's one of the best spots in Philly, pumping out some of the best beer out there. Dan, you want to do final thoughts on this hazy?
As the resident haze boy, yeah, I love this. We talked about grapefruit being like a key tasting note, in my opinion, of a good hazy IPA is having a perfect balance between like the sweet and I would say like the bitterness to this. And Strata is a great hop that accentuates that. Citra adds that subtle like citrus to it, while Strata is just the real showrunner for this. Nice bitter notes, great mouthfeel. You guys obviously, doing the oats and the wheat to that to give it a nice softer mouthfeel. But yeah, 2-row just gives you a nice little, I always call it a little zap, like just a little bit of that. Like this is still an IPA, guys. Like this is not like a just sweet, an overly sweet hazy IPA. This is still an IPA.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big hazy person, as it's been known on the podcast, but I'm not one to search one out. But I'm sitting here like, man, I wish I had one more of these to enjoy. It's super refreshing. Very, I would say, bright is a descriptor for this one. It's
That's
very
good.
bright. It's the I'm a big fan of grapefruit because I like that citrusy bitter taste to it. And like Dan said, that's what I want in IPAs is that like bitter characteristic to it. So
What
this
I like
is
to do with our IPAs, we want to give it a little bit of bitterness. The hazy ones.
Yeah.
I mean it's really what I've become.
I understand approachability, but at the same time, I still want it to taste like an IPA.
Yeah. And it really it describes me as far as IPAs go. I've become bitter towards them. So that's what I want. I want bitter. I want bitter to feed my bitter. And this is just it's really enjoyable. For a person who doesn't generally enjoy or search out hazy IPAs, this is very enjoyable. So yeah, I would give it definitely a recommendation. Strata Cat. We've had a good
Tom, we're batting 1,000 with
I
Attic.
know.
We're batting 1,000 right
Two
now.
7% beers coming out.
we're betting 1,000 with cat beers for sure.
Yeah, I mean, cat beers definitely. I mean, but I would say I haven't had a bad beer from Attic. You guys are doing something incredible up there. Props to you guys. Really stoked to see what the future holds for you guys. You know, you went to GABF, you got hungry, you're coming back, you're ready to put something out that's gonna come in for next year. So I'm excited to see what you guys do. I'm excited to know that you're only 30 to 40 minutes away from me now, so I can just go down there. Stoked for that. Do you guys have any like events, anything coming up that you guys want to promote?
Not at the moment.
So for live listeners, we'll have all the Phillies games on all weekend. We have live music every Wednesday going through November. We've got a really cool Winter Fest on December 17th and 18th. And then our 3-year anniversary is January 17th. So the whole weekend leading up to that date, we'll have cool stuff going on. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a party.
Got a really good barrel-aged Baltic Porter
coming out as our year 3. That's a secret that you just said that you weren't supposed to.
Oh man,
we'll bleep that. We'll bleep that out in the audio.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Maybe you guys can do a live podcast show during our anniversary weekend.
Oh man, if you want to get hey Todd, do you play any instruments? You want to get a metal band going?
Played bass for a little bit.
All right. You want to get a band going? Let's do it. A tribute band?
Yeah.
Let me know what we want to do.
He plays fife.
He's lead. Lead fife. What are we gonna do? Some wizard metal.
Do some colonial metal.
Oh,
Colonial folk metal. Yeah, that'd be pretty bad.
Let's do 18th century reenacting. So it isn't that hard to find people who play those instruments, actually.
Yeah, we got a fife and a lute and a double bass.
Yeah, I could do some more. I could do some marching stuff.
Before we get out of here, we didn't even mention, and I had it in the back of my head, didn't write down the notes. Just your staff that you guys have like leveled up. You have an assistant brewer now. You have Bogdan, and I apologize. I'm spacing her name. Your
Laura,
tap room manager.
Lauren.
Lauren. Yeah. There's Laura and Lauren.
Lauren is, she's a rock star at your facility there. She's just like super knowledgeable about everything.
Yeah.
Tap room managers, I'm
Ruth and
sorry to say about
Oak
that.
are awesome.
You can hit or miss with the taproom manager, but she has knowledge about like any question we had for her about any of the beers. She was knowledgeable about that.
Yep.
Yeah,
She kind of knew the beers that we were going to do before we even knew what was going to go on. Like,
Yeah.
because she knew Strata Cat was going to be probably one of the beers we're going to talk about. And she kept like saying like, hey, we have other beer like that's still down, because you guys are releasing it this week, right? Strata Cat's going out this week.
We gotta wait for a line to open, so
All
it
right.
may
So
or may not be on by the weekend.
is there going to be a kick to keg special this week to try and get that out there?
Probably.
Yeah, we're working on it. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, from like the time I was there when it was just like bogged in and like a bunch of people at the bar canning, hand seaming cans to, you have an assistant brewer.
We have 28 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a kick-ass staff.
The Attic Brew Crew is what we call them.
Okay.
Love
That's
it.
a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kick-ass staff, kick-ass beer, kick-ass location. I mean, really, guys, like get out to Attic, check out their beer, check out their location. You really can't miss with them. So I'll say it once and I'll say it 1,000 times.
Yeah, guys. Also, social media at Attic Brewing. Give them a like, give them a follow.
Yeah.
All their beers. When do you guys release beers? Usually end of the week, Fridays?
Yeah, usually we have 2 new beers go on every week.
Okay.
We'll see if that continues during the winter, but that's generally what we're doing.
Give these guys a follow. Keep up with the events and stuff, guys, at Attic Brewing.
Yeah, definitely check them out. All right. The usual closing stuff, guys. Follow, rate, review, all that stuff you heard at the beginning. Social media, follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Dan, what's that?
That's Best Friends Pod. That's Best Friends POD. Open up the pit, Tom.
Send us an email if you haven't a brewer. If you have questions that you want us to address, if you have any kind of song that you want us to use in the early late 90s, early 2000s hip hop genre, send us an email, bestbestfriendspod@gmail.com. That's bestbestfriendspod.
You thought you were out of the POD songs. We got them all set up.
at gmail.com. And Facebook wasn't working great for us tonight. That's a deal with StreamYard. They're dealing with that.
They're dealing with it. It's a real bummer. Sorry I've been seeing the likes pour in though. So the likes on the live have been coming in, guys. Sorry you couldn't participate. It's not us, it's them. It's Zuckerberg.
But what we have said, we've said it in the past and we'll say it again. Twitch is the best way to watch the podcast and to interact with us. It's the best chat. It's the best way to watch, best quality. So check us out. Twitch.tv/bestbestfriendspod, Twitch.tv/bestbestfriendspod. There it is. All right.
Nice.
Attic Brewing, go check them out. Go drink their beer. It's amazing. Thank you guys for coming on. We really appreciate you spending time with us on this Tuesday.
Thank you guys.
Wednesday.
Thank you for having us. This was great. Here forever.
Dan, you know how I feel about you.
I love you. Always have.
My mom must have been watching because she's like texting me. She's like, "Love you both."
Is that Joan Lowry?
Love you both. You've done so well.
And we're from Chicago, so you gotta get that Midwestern accent in there. Don't you know?
All right, everybody.
Love you both. You've done so well, don't you know?
Oh, don't you know?
Yes, the sausages. Did you get those sausages I sent you?
Touching Italian beef. Did you get it?
Abe Froman, Sausage King of Chicago.
All right, everybody. It's not goodbye forever. It's just All right,
One more
everybody.
POD song.
Best Friends Podcast, episode 138.
We out.
See. All right, and audio is done.
Stream is still going and
stream is still going.
strong.
Um,
Stream.
Oh, my mom said, cannot wait for the metal band.
I'm gonna go use the potty. I'll be right back.
Is she from Aurora, Illinois? Because she would definitely get the Wayne's World reference. And
I don't think that she would. She's not from Aurora, and
no.
she didn't quite line up with Wayne's World in her
okay.
age. But
wait, so are you from Chicago too?
I grew up outside of Chicago. Todd grew up in Colorado.
Oh, okay. So I thought you were just simping for GABF with the Avalanche hat, but it makes much more sense now. The Peter
We're
Forsberg.
doing a little better than the Broncos at the moment. So.
Yeah. Yeah. As somebody who drafted Jerry Jeudy early in his fantasy football draft, yeah, Russell Wilson is a giant disappointment, and he is who we all thought he was.
Yeah, Judy's great, but
yes, but
quarterback that couldn't throw to him.
Yeah. All right, you got what's his name? Ripien.
Yeah.
Ripien?
He didn't really show that much promise either.
Yeah, he'll get there. I mean, the team has so much it showed so much promise, and like that Russell, like they were bringing in Russell Wilson, was like they're going to do something, and then
I think everybody was expecting like another Peyton Manning thing. It's not going to come in and destroy.
But he isn't like Russell Wilson isn't even like the same Russell Wilson that was in Seattle. Like I watched the Thursday night game. Yeah. That was boring as hell.
We were at that game.
Yeah, we bought tickets to the game.
Was it the Chargers, right?
Colts.
Okay, so it was the Colts.
Chargers
was last week when Dustin Hopkins won on a bum leg.
A bad game.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it was Russell like showed like flashes of like, hey, I can get outside the pocket and run a little bit, and then he was like, yeah, I'm tired of doing that. I'm gonna try and throw, which I can't do anymore, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of those situations where he wanted to be Tom Brady without Bill Belichick.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's been rough.
Yeah.
We got one game this week, and then they go on bye weekends. So see what happens.
This last game was like so rough to watch too, because it was like, oh, so close to holding your own, and then they just like let it go at the end, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No one's even paying attention.
Well, at least you have Nathan McKinnon and the Avalanche.
That's true. Which is good.
Yeah.
Have faith in the Avalanche.
Yeah, have faith in the Avalanche.
I was gonna ask if you bought that hat while you're at GABF.
Todd's from Colorado.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The conversation you missed was a lot of hate for Russell Wilson, and Todd's from Colorado.
Wait, you're not ready to cook with Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
Thought I was. Now, not so much.
Yeah. Turns out Chef Ross has just been making instant mac and cheese for the past 10 years.
He does a killer Popeye's chicken.
Yeah. I mean, I try and tell everybody and it wasn't just like it's not just a thing for the podcast. Like I truly love your guys' brewery. I thought like your beer is fantastic. Your location is amazing. You guys really have one of the best tap rooms in the area. It really is like people have to get out there.
I'm coming back for the brown ale because I'm still regretting that we didn't take any of that back with us. I'm like, man, I know. Like, we did the brown ale before. I just want to take some back with me.
You should have.
Because that beer, like even
like we're gonna take this one too. We're not gonna have it on the show, but we just want this for ourselves. You'd have been like, okay, yeah,
yeah.
That brown ale is just it's something else, and as a style that doesn't get used often, you guys just knocked it out of the park. So
You know who comes here for the brown ale is Tom Kehoe from Yards. That's
Really?
like
I bet
his
he does.
beer. He keeps telling me, he's like, "That's your beer. That's your beer, Laura. That's your beer." And I'm like,
Does he come in his like Revolutionary War getup and everything too? Like,
he just comes as himself. But we talked to them about contract brewing at Yards. I think it's a little big for what we're able to do right now. But he was like, "Come on, just brew 200 barrels of the brown ale. What's the problem?" It's a big leap.
We have nowhere to put it.
Nowhere to put it. He's like,
you guys
want
want it at Acme? I'm your guy. I'll put it there.
Yeah. We just did an event over the weekend and brought it with, like, of course, it's the beer. Almost every single employee, when we have that beer on, that's their shift beer because we don't brew it often.
That's when you know you have a good beer right there. When it's the shift beer.
It's hard to balance the yeast strains. When we're this small, like, we have to use the yeast strains in a specific way. So it's really hard to brew that beer more frequently. But when it's on, the whole team drinks that beer as their shift beer. We bring it to an event and it's the worst, like, it's just the worst selling beer. Like, people just aren't
They just don't know.
into it. And it's so hard to be like a super small brewery that's like pushing, hey, Hazy IPA was the beer that you all wanted, but now it's a brown ale. Like, y'all want brown ales now. So maybe we'll be at the forefront of the big brown ale movement in 2 years when everyone's brewing brown ales. You'll be like, Attic Brewing started that. Like, Alchemist did the Hazy IPA.
Everyone's tired of lagers.
Yeah, Alchemist. Yeah, they brought the New England American IPA into light, and you guys are the forerunners of the brown, the pioneers.
I think that is like the big problem is like nobody brews brown ales, and it's such a great style. Like, I always remember, like, when we first started drinking craft beer, I always remember Samuel Smith brown ale, like the nut brown ale. Like, it was,
the nut brown, and that was
cool ship too, isn't it?
It might be.
Yeah, I think that one's like open fermentation too. What an amazing beer!
It's such a it's like an English style, like English New England, like old colonial style beer, and it's so delicious. But I think it's just like people aren't educated enough on it, and they aren't aware enough about it, like, because I don't think enough breweries make it.
We also do something. I'm not going to say that no one else does this, but what we do here is we really encourage our team to sample beers to people. Like, if somebody's like, I want to sample all 14 beers, it's like, hey, come step down the bar so that the next bartender can take care of the customer. And we're going to go through these beers and have you taste something different. And what we found, I think, a lot with IPAs was just like kind of like a wanting to fit in. Like, you can walk into a bar and say, oh, I'll have an IPA, because you were like afraid to admit that you didn't know about another beer style.
Yeah.
So we make it really comfortable, and we try to encourage people to try something new. And
I do that a lot, like probably against the wishes of the owner of the brewery, but I'm a sample guy. As soon as they're like, hey, what's this ESB like? I'm like, I can say it to you right now, or I could say it to you while you drink it, and you could get the tasting notes while I talk to you. Like, it's basically what's the thing from remember Tommy Boy or Chris Farley? Like, I could sell ketchup popsicle to, or I can
white gloves.
I can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves in the middle of June. But
what's the stake? I could get a good look at a T-bone by sticking my head up a bull's ass, but I'll take the butcher's word for it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like I say, like, hey, I can tell you the tasting notes that are written on that paper right now, or you can take this like quarter pour of a 5 ounce, drink it, and I'm gonna tell you while you drink it what you're tasting, and you're gonna sit there and nod your head with me.
Yeah.
That's something like I appreciate. Like, my wife is one of those people that's like, she tastes every beer. Like, she's like, this sounds good, but I want to taste it to make sure I like it before I order it, because I don't want to order it and it like it sounds good and I get it and I'm like, I don't really like it. So I mean, my wife's the same way. She just
It's
hates it.
sales. Like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's like you are convincing people to get that 16-ounce pint of that. Like I look at it like a batting average for a baseball player. I go up to the plate, I give a sample pour to somebody, and I say I'm batting 500 right now, that you're gonna want a full pour of this. So I throw it in front of them. I talk to them. I'm like, you're gonna want this beer after you have this.
Yeah, and the other part of it is that one of the things that we encountered is that as a craft brewer, we all get put into the same category for a lot of different things, the ways we operate, the standards we have for brewing beer, the styles we have. And with having 9,000 breweries, like we don't have 9,000 great breweries. We have 9,000 breweries. And so part of it too for new people is like the trust part. And as being a newer brewery, we realized that like we have to still build that trust. And so people who are repeat customers know that whether you're having the Belgian triple, the hazy IPA, or the brown ale, like we're putting out the best beers we can. But we too have gone to breweries. Even recently, we went back to Colorado and went to like a tried and true brewery that we had always gone to. And we left beer sitting on tables and walked out because we were like, this beer isn't good anymore. And so I think by sampling the beer, you're able to like, for new customers, build that trust. It's like,
Yeah.
there aren't off flavors.
Consistency is key. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right.
for
Not
sure.
be a style that you like the Sage Goza. Like it's a very specific style that maybe not everybody likes. We'll still sample it too if you want to give it a try, but whatever beer style we're putting out, it's like great for the beer style it is. It might just not be a style that you like. And that's kind of like one of the things that why we do that is to say that we believe enough in our beer that when you sample it, you're gonna like something, and then we'll make back that money. But we have found that there are still breweries that aren't putting out like the greatest beer, and that I think is why people ask for samples, is because if it tastes like trash, they don't want to spend $7 or $8 and then leave the beer on the bar.
Especially, with like how much a pint is. Like you want to make sure you're getting your bang for your buck. And I understand like the need for like the samples because of being a small brewery, because testing different yeasts and testing different brewing styles, like it's going to come out slightly different. But
it's especially when you do beers like you just mentioned, like the Sage Sour. It's an experimental, quote unquote experimental kind of flavor. It might be an acquired taste for most people.
Yeah.
Why not sample it? Why not sample it? Find out whether or not you like that flavor, and then order rather than order a 16-ounce and leave 12 ounces on the bar.
And cheers to the marketing on Session Sour versus using Gosa on your cans, because Session Sour is a little bit more approachable to the end user too. Because, not a lot of people are going to know what a Gosa is versus like Session Sour Ale and stuff like that. Like, they've had sours because of the popularity. They're looking for a lighter sour. Gosa is a lighter sour, and having that Session Sour label versus something that they're like, oh, I want the goose, or I want the ghost. Like, they're trying to pronounce it and they're not getting it.
This is a perfect comment on this from our resident relief pitcher, Tom Hackemer. It's smoke beer. You always have to try it first. And that's a perfect analogy. And
I'm the same way with Rausch beers. I have to have I have to just know the level of smoke before I have it.
But it goes back to like Dan and I were at a brewery after we stopped and got beer at Attic. There's a smoke beer on the menu. It's like, but there's this stigma about tasting beer before you order it. You don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, can I taste it? And smoked beers are one of those beers that we've talked about on the podcast. You can get a really bad smoked beer.
Oh, totally.
Especially when they're using extract, like the smoke extract versus like smoked malt or something.
Yeah, if you use liquid smoke in your beer, it can come out Yeah, you come out and you get
But
that
I've
look.
also had good ones that use liquid smoke. So
Yes.
it's really about
Right.
like how they use it.
It's how it's used, it's how it ends up tasting, and you can get a beer that tastes like Bacos, like fake bacon bits, or you can get a beer that tastes like naturally smoked. And we've had both. We've had both ends of the spectrum on the podcast. And
I think the other part of it for us too was just being conscious of where we were opening our brewery, that Germantown is not an area that has a high concentration of people who were familiar with craft beer. So that's the other part, was like to make sure that when people walked in, we've had the experience where we walk into a brewery and you're at the line, you get the menu, and they're like rushing you to order. You have no idea what you're looking at. And so we really wanted people to feel comfortable coming in, asking questions. Like, it's okay if you're not familiar with this. It's okay if it's new to you. And then that's why we pay our employees a certain rate and staff our bar the way that we do. So it's not just one bartender who's trying to rush through people. Usually there's at least 2, if not 3 or 4 people behind the bar to have those conversations and build those relationships with people and answer questions. Because we are the first craft brewery in Germantown in over 100 years. And like, we knew that we were going to have, in order for people to feel comfortable, like we were going to have to operate differently.
and
I
think-
like that idea because it's like a quality over quantity kind of thing. Like for a bartender, it's not like how many pints can you pour and just get them out. It's quality of the interaction, quality of the descriptions that you can give as a bartender at a brewery versus a bartender at just your standard bar. I'm going to give you the tasting notes of this beer that you ordered or you asked about. Like, there's a higher degree of knowledge that goes behind serving the beers that are going to be presented to you.
And to go off of Dan's point, I think that's the importance of having someone like a Lauren at your location, where she seems so like happy to like talk about the beer.
I wanted like 8 beers from her, just like talking to
Yeah.
her. I'm like, man, I wish you guys were open. I was about to go to Deeks. I was gonna have like 3 games on the Iron Maiden like pinball. I was like, we're gonna have a day.
And she made it like so welcoming, and like she's so happy to like be presenting the beers and like talking about them, and like you need that.
Yeah, I worked as a sales rep for a brewery, and I will say that, and I told Lauren this, I'm like, it's a lot easier to work as a sales rep for a brewery when you're selling good beer. And Lauren, she gets paid well too. So I think like that's kind of the whole culture that we build. Like, Lauren is amazing, and there's a reason why when you go on Google, like, we have a lot of 5-star reviews, is because we understand as business owners that like this owning a brewery doesn't happen without those people. And I don't want to be here every night. So I have to trust like the rest of the team, and like we pay them well. We do beer 101 classes. We educate them and like really try to build like a full experience with it. So we're really grateful. That's really great. I'm going to edit that comment out about Lauren, because I don't want her coming asking for more money because you guys can't help it.
But I'll preface this of like, you can start the edit here too. I mean, it definitely stands out. Dan and I have been to like countless breweries, and like the experience with Lauren definitely stands out as like one of a more favorable experiences, because it was just so like, she was just so into it, like ready to help, ready to like
Yeah, I mean,
beers.
we were instantly an inconvenience to any brewery. We're early before you guys even opened. We're just like
Sorry,
hanging out. I'm like, I'm playing pinball. I'm just like, hey, I just want to get the high score over here in pinball. I'll be over there and talk beer in a second.
No,
Like, I'm just a complete inconvenience, and she handled it with just grace and just approachability. She was amazing.
She was definitely like a spotlight of enthusiasm for our experience, and I would just imagine that's being passed on to the normal customer. So that's,
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for what represents like Philly craft beer, we talked about our top 3 and Attic's there. So
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's really says a lot though too, because Human Robot opened just shortly after we did. Like we were really around the same time, like a couple weeks before COVID. And we love the guys got the whole team. I won't say just guys, but like the whole team over at Human Robot, and like really pushing to like put out like really great beer in Philly and do really great things. So we're excited to be on that list and very appreciative of that. And then I know you have Victory on there, which
yeah, Victory Philly, as it's like, I wouldn't even put Victory. I mean, Victory as a
we
whole,
went
obviously
recently, right?
awesome, but like Victory Philly, like just Richie down there on his system is just putting out some crazy styles and crazy original beer
And
just in the Philly.
Yeah.
Like
And-
on their system alone, like he's
and their environment is like I mean, they obviously like they have the backing of Victory beer.
yeah, they got that bankroll.
Their environment is like the atmosphere there is insane.
We
But
just
yeah,
went there for the first time a couple weeks ago, and we had a really great time. Awesome space. It was so full and crowded, and a lot of the places that you're at in Center City, you know, sometimes Philly feels like a little bit of a ghost town, and to feel it full and the energy just feels so like, let's bring it
And the
back.
energy is
Let's
centered
get
around
back
the
out
beer, which
there.
is great too.
Yeah.
Like the energy, like, I mean, the food is amazing there, but like the energy around the beer is great too. Like, cause they're putting out like, you know, they put out beers that get hype around them, but they also put out like traditional styles where like they're doing like, you know, historically Philly style beers.
Right.
Like they did their, what was it the Little Session IPA that they named after what's his name? I think it was James Madison. They call it the Little IPA. It was named after James Madison because he was short.
I mean, and it's cool that they have a whole system down there where Richie is brewing his own beers, and they're Philly centric, and you can only get them at that tap room. They're not bottling, they're not canning them. You have to go down there to experience them.
Well, small complaint then, because they were out of a lot of those beers when we went, but maybe because they're so popular.
Well, yeah, I mean, small complaint,
Yeah.
but Richie's not complaining because if his tap
No.
lines are empty, then
I
he is
know.
just grinning ear to ear.
Yeah, we really had a good time. It was
Which he's not doing nowadays because his Yankees got just housed.
Just housed. I haven't seen a broom party at a championship game in a long time.
And I mean, like Human Robot, obviously, like their beers speak for themselves. They're doing fantastic beers. Ken and Andrew are like, they're great people. They're genuinely great people.
Ken is the nicest dude. Like he's one of the coolest dudes I ever met. Like I get a big old bear hug every time I come down there. It's great.
And like what they've done for like establishing the want and the need for lagers, and like they kind of made it like Human Robot kind of made lagers cool. That, you know, it was like Laura, I see your face. I know, like, yes, Human Robot didn't exactly. Yes, they didn't.
Just for a lager. I'm just saying. I drank a couple beers tonight. I'm just saying.
According to social media,
You know what? And that's the appreciation. This is the thing.
that's a cool thing. Is like they're helping.
I'm gonna say it. Yes, I'm gonna
They're
say
helping craft beer as a whole.
Might be. This is the thing. We went to the GABF this year, and one Philadelphia brewery won a bronze medal at the GABF this year. Shout out to New Ridge for their Kolsch Hellas lager.
It was a Hellas. They got like a was it a silver or a bronze?
Got the
Bronze.
They got a bronze.
I'm
Yeah.
really proud of that. But one of the things is like,
Hellas is a tough
when
one.
you step outside, and I think I grew up outside Chicago, Todd grew up in Colorado. When you go to those cities who have had 100 breweries, Philly is so far behind that. But as a brewery owner, I'm like, I'm not eager to open more breweries because that's competition. But I'm just saying that, like, bringing like really this reputation for having the best beer in the country back to Philly is so important to us. And that's the part when we talk about human robot that we feel like, yes, absolutely. Like those guys are on the same page where it's like, we are brewing the best beers and trying to bring this recognition and so much like love towards human robot for all, like they do a lot of stuff to like bring that hype to Philly breweries. And when people start thinking about Philly that way as like brewing the best lagers, whatever style of beer it is,
Yeah, it
that helps
feels good.
all of us.
It
Well,
feels
that-
good. Feels good for everybody. And
Of
like
course. And that's
if you're like a brewery in Philadelphia and you go to Human Robot, you have a good time. Like they are just the most welcoming people. They're not like looking to just, it's not about the individual. They're about Philly. They want those
Absolutely.
Philly breweries to come in, hang out, have a good time. And
yeah. We know Andrew. Andrew used to live in Germantown and like great person, great, absolutely amazing brewer. And like the beers they're putting out are top-notch brewery beers. And like we enjoy drinking them and like just love them. They included us in log jamming this year, which was like a great opportunity for us to pour beer too and like showcase our beers as a new brewery. So like lots of love for them. And that's really like the excitement that we have about Philly beer is just like really both things, like putting your head down and like really saying like the hard work goes into brewing good beers. It's not easy. There's a lot of work and talent and like we do a lot of work. Like we've dumped beers before that aren't good enough for us to put out. And we're really proud of everything that we do. And we know that Human Robot does the same thing. And, you know, we're just trying to like really make sure that Philly stays on that map. And that was one of the things, just the takeaway that we got, like California and Colorado swept those medals. And we're like, how the heck did we get Philly back on that map? Is Philly and Pennsylvania back on that map?
Philly needs to come back as the new San Diego and just be the fucking Mecca.
So and I kind of wanted to bring this up on the podcast, like the audio portion. I always liken Philly to like the San Diego of the East. You know, San Diego has we both have a ton of breweries. We have ones that are upper echelon, and we have a ton but every brewery in our area is brewing quality beer. Every brewery out there in our area is brewing good beer. Like, when's the last time you went to a Philly area brewery and was like, this is disgusting? Like I can't drink any of this. It's few and far between. Every brewery in the area is brewing good quality beer. And I think that's like a pride thing. Like when you say you're a Philly brewery, something comes with that. It's like a Philly sports team, you know? It's like you take pride in being like, I'm a Philly brewery. I'm doing really good beer.
Definitely. Yeah.
I just want to know who's going to make the Riot Juice fucking beer for the World Series. Who's going to go? It's Always Sunny and make the Riot Juice.
The Riot Juice, the Riot Juice and the Grease the Poles.
Yeah, Grease the Poles or Riot Juice. I am ready for your beer. If you're starting it right now, I mean, come on, Germantown, Grease the Poles. Let's hear it.
So we have
it's so naughty sounding.
Grease the Poles.
Grease the Poles. So we do have we got a question coming in from Tom Hackemer again, our resident bullpen specialist and home brewer. If you have a batch that you deem dump worthy, do you ever try and save it first? Do you like add something in, or pitch something funky and hope it turns out better? Or do you just scrap it altogether?
So we've
no. We don't.
I was gonna say at that final spot, like what
we do.
So we dumped 2 beers. One was a Hefeweizen. Laura and I drank this incredible German Hefeweizen. We're like, yeah, we can brew that. And something went wrong, and we had to dump that one. The other one was a double IPA that was not our fault. Our glycol system went down for a
Pico
weekend.
switched
Okay.
with phase, and they knocked out the
So,
glycol
the
system.
beer
There's a certain
fermented.
point where you just have to.
Yeah, the beer fermented like 90 degrees, and we tasted it. It tasted okay, but not what we wanted to, and we didn't want to waste like dry hopping, like the money on the dry hops for it. So we dumped that one. Then most recently, we did have like a same issue with a lager. It was our Wonder Crush session lager that we were brewing, but the glycol system went down and it fermented hotter than it should have been for a lager. It's like fermenting at like 70 degrees. But we tasted it. It's like, well, this isn't that bad. We can still use it.
Just became an ale at that point.
So we
Pretty
ended up
decent, pretty decent Kolsch.
yeah, we dry hopped it. It tasted fine, and now it's on tap, and it's doing okay. It's just fine. People aren't complaining about it.
Yeah,
but
we like changed the beer style.
yeah, it's not Wonder Crush. We're not like throw that name on there. It's a different beer, but
Yeah, I guess like we would never try to mask off flavors with adjuncts or additives.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
It
guess
happens
that's
a
the way
lot
that
with
I read
like
the
hazy
question.
IPAs. I feel like people like if you have like a flagship hazy that doesn't come out slightly as good as like it has been, there's like some people just like, hey, I'm gonna add orange to it and make it like an orange creamsicle IPA versus like what we typically do or something. Like people change and like modify that. Like, you know, they do that with like IPAs. I could see where like it's you said lagered at what, 70 degrees?
yeah. It definitely fermented hotter than it should have.
Yeah.
But it
Okay.
still tasted fine. It wasn't like off in any kind of way.
Yeah, there weren't any off flavors. It just didn't taste like the beer that it was supposed to be.
So it becomes just a different beer on tap then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
kind of tested it out a little bit. We were giving samples out to people, like some of our regulars. I'm like, oh yeah, I'd totally drink this. So
Yeah, give it to the people who are there
Yeah.
behind the bar all the time.
it's
Yeah.
on tap now. It's doing okay. So
Yeah.
it's fine. But yeah, like the IPA that went bad, that was definitely one we did not want to put out.
Yeah, if it goes to like the point of no return kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
So-
like we could dry hop the hell out of it and call it something else, but we knew something wasn't quite right about it. So we dumped
It's
it.
like the cost of resurrecting it versus like the cost of just doing another IPA.
Yeah, and there's like that part. I guess the way I perceived it is like this idea of adding adjuncts or burying off flavors, and that's the thing that we don't do. So
Yeah, it's like some people do that, and it's just like,
Yeah, like it's not-
hey, like I know you were trying to put out your flagship beer, but like putting orange in, it's just like, yeah, you're polishing a turd kind of. It's like,
yeah,
like
they notice. They definitely
yeah,
could-
people do notice, and that's a thing. Yeah, exactly.
So we don't want to do that with that IPAs. We could dry hop
Okay,
down
yeah.
with it, it's not going to taste right. So
Exactly what he just said. I was like, the more what I meant, like the lager to Kolsch. It was what I was saying. Like sometimes people would like they're lagering a beer, it doesn't quite get to it, so they kind of just it's a Kolsch then, or like accusing of a bad brewing practice or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I've seen that in practice with like, you know, hey, it's a Kolsch versus like it's a lager. Like that's what we tried to do.
well, one of the
But
things
sometimes you have happy accidents, like like what's his name? The what's the painter's name? I was trying to think of it in my head. The guy with the afro who always paints.
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross, yeah, happy accident. Yeah, the Kolsch is like sometimes the Kolsch is a happy accident.
You guys the best.
Yeah. I mean, we had that when we started doing the barrel fermentation. Like it was unexpected what was going to happen with that, and we were testing things out. But absence is like a session ale that we do. We've brewed it twice, and it turned out like it's a really great tasting beer. But the first time we brewed it, we had no idea what it was going to turn out like. So there's sometimes where you're kind of unexpected and you're going to roll with the punches. But
Yeah.
when we decided we were going to open a brewery, I worked for a lot of breweries, and I saw what I call it like Franken brewing, which is things that I learned. Like I would come home and I'd be like, hey, so this is what we're not going to do. And you know, but some of the things people do it's a business, and that is
Yeah.
the part of brewing beer where like there are people who brew a brown ale and then they add pumpkin spice and they're like, oh hey, it's like our pumpkin spice beer and it's the same beer. And it's like, I'm not gonna fault you for that, because if it tastes good, like it tastes good, but it's not a practice that we use. It's like kind of like doing those things, but
no, but you guys have a brand to protect, and like exactly, like you don't want to, when it comes out like that, you don't want to put out something that isn't what you meant to put out. Like you want that quality there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, every single beer has its own specific water profile and its own specific beer recipe for every single beer that we put out. And we do a lot of that. Beer gets tasted and tested, and we pull a lot of samples of beers throughout the whole fermentation process to make sure that, we're brewing the best and most consistent beers that we can. It's really hard at the small scale that we're brewing at, but we really try to make sure that we brew the best that we can.
I took a little bit of a pee break, and I came back. And what kind of shitstorm is Tom Hackemer trying to stir up here, Dan?
We were talking about like dump worthy beers and like how you can resurrect
just accusing
beers.
people, like falsely accusing people of things. It just
I feel like both of us have sank down in our chairs from the beers that we drank.
No, I do like what he's talking about, because I feel like I've had some real world.
It's a real Mets take, it's just a real Mets worthy take here.
I was waiting for you, Tom, because we had a sour porter before where like somebody was like, hey, yeah, at a place that we did a beer with, but
I would say if I ever saw a sour porter on a menu, that would 100% be a beer that I'm asking for a sample before I buy a pint.
Well, no, it was like it had adjuncts in it, but like it just tasted soured. And like even the bartender, like when we were there, we're just like, hey, something's up with the sour, like, or something's up with the porter. People are saying it's soured, and we're like, yeah, this is pretty sour. Like,
there's a brewery out in Ohio that does like 19th century style brewing. So they brew pretty much out of like a wood fire pit and brew all this
stuff. Okay, so they cook everything over wood fire?
Yeah.
Is it like everything's like boiled over that? Okay.
Everything's like in wood except for like the kettle, which is like copper and stuff. And it's really cool setup that they have.
There's one in Pennsylvania now that's doing that, the same thing, wood fire, like brewing.
Nice.
It's like probably from where you guys are, they're probably like an hour and a half out, like near it's Moton. It's like just outside of Lancaster.
Okay, cool. I have to check that out. Yeah. This one in Ohio, like we went to it, thinking it's like, oh yeah, it's like a cool 1800 style brewery. They're doing things like the traditional way. And every single beer that we had was sour. And they had like a sour porter on. And we're like, well, why is that? And their reasoning was behind it was because, well, this is how it was back in the day. They didn't have like all the techniques that we do today to brew like decent, good quality beer. It was all sour back then. And I question that because
they developed styles out of that.
I think they figured out a way not to have like sour beer all the time.
Yeah, the general populace's palate has developed to like a certain type. Like I applaud the effort, but the execution.
Yeah, so I think it's just because they were serving bad beer, but in my opinion, I think they were brewing really good beer back in the 18th and 19th centuries that was not sour. They knew a way to like not make it that way. But there's a lot of like things saying in there, that's the way it was. It was like sour beer and people drink. It's like, well, why would you drink sour beer? I don't know. Have wine or cider or mead.
I love Dylan.
Yeah.
I think they knew how to brew good beer back in the time.
Yeah, I mean, like there was like
a tale of ice and sour flavors.
Yeah. Tale of lack of ice and but I mean, even like like the whole English style got knocked for like their room temp beers, and like And now at this point, it's like, all right, well, some beers taste better at like room temp.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
House of the Diacetyl.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about time to wrap this up, Hyundai.
Probably.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. Are you
thanks
guys,
After hours.
is the party still going on there at Attic? I know you guys are pretty packed house, but it's probably settled down by now.
I mean,
might
maybe
be
they
some-
sold out of tacos, but we're still going.
Oh, there's tacos over there. I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Every Tuesday we have the best taco trucks in Philly rolling through. Oh my gosh. And we have no Mexican food in Germantown, so it is the place to be.
Oh man.
And I can't stress this enough. Deeks is like some of the best barbecue in Philly. Like my brother brought me up there when when he lived in Manayunk to like their original location when it was just a garage.
Yeah, we used to go to
Deeks-
that Manioc location all the time.
Yeah, that Deeks barbecue is so legit. Go there, go have some amazing beer, have
Grab
some
their
good barbecue.
drink our beer.
Yeah, there you go. It's a match made in heaven.
Are you still on Facebook Live?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because my mom is still commenting.
yeah. She's commenting, but we can't see any of it right
we
now.
can't see any.
See me laughing, so she must still be watching. Hey, Joe.
She's like, Laura, get to bed. It's way past your bedtime.
She said, "Send me more beer," is what she said.
Send me more beers.
Well, Todd and
Send
Laura,
me some
thank
more
you very much
sausages
for
from Chicago.
Yeah.
thank you guys very much for coming on with us. We appreciate it. Like we said, I mean, it's not a facade or anything. Genuinely, some of our favorite beers out there.
We appreciate it.
100%.
Yeah, definitely like one of the best spots in Philly. Yeah, thank you for sharing with us. Yeah, be on the lookout. We're gonna have something on Instagram for this sage beer. We're gonna do something for this sage sour.
I'm gonna shotgun it. I think Shotgun Friday. I'm just gonna be at Hannah. I'm doing Shotgun Friday. I'm having a sage sour though.
Little triple S shotgun sage sour.
You guys haven't tried it yet?
Have not tried it yet.
We have not tried it yet. It's in
Let
the
us know.
fridge, ready to go.
I think I'm
I'm gonna dress up like Zach De La Roque, and I'm just gonna like
Yeah, that'd be
I'm
awesome.
gonna do a little like mule kick mosh pit while I shotgun it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the other direction. I'm gonna light some candles. I'm gonna burn some sage.
All right, you're
I'm
going
really-
like the Fleetwood Mac style. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go. I'm gonna go Rage Against the Machine with it.
I'm gonna fully
Pocket full of
rid.
beer.
I'm just gonna be like, "Fuck you! Don't sage what you tell me."
Oh, nice. Even better.
I'm ready to rid my office of evil spirits. Is what I'm ready to do.
Well,
All right. Well, Todd and Laura, thank you guys for coming on. We really appreciate it. Great conversation.
Yeah, awesome guys.
The audio will be out tomorrow, Wednesday.
We are dropping tomorrow, guys.
Yeah. So we'll put out a post and we'll tag you guys in it. All that.
Yeah,
good
if you're
stuff.
on Facebook and we missed your comments, we're sorry, but
Yeah.
get on Twitch.
Get on Twitch.
Yeah, we'll check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Check out Attic. Go to Attic Germantown, Gem of Germantown. It's going to be the next beer name. All right, guys. Well, thank you. And
Thank you.
good night. Thank you
good
so much.
night.